Well, it looks like the national nightmare is almost over. Bally Sports, after filing for bankruptcy, looks like it's bailing on both the Guardians and the Twins. Now, there are a lot of questions surrounding this. What happens to Guardians games? What happens to Twins games? We are now into the regular season of the MLB. Who will have the rights to those games? We're going to talk about all of that and what's going on with the Diamond Sports Group as they continue to miss payment deadlines for more MLB teams. Now, that is just a photo of all of the Bally Sports regional teams that they have right now. You can see a lot of teams possibly going to be affected by this, the first two being Minnesota and Cleveland, but that is a lot of teams in a lot of different sports, MLB, NHL, NBA, that are going to be affected by Bally Sports going bankrupt. And we also do have this. I'm going to talk about this really quickly, but it says AT&T Sportsnet possibly shutting down Warner Bros. Discovery, the parent company behind AT&T Sportsnet, has confirmed that they intend to shut down their RSNs. They are reportedly working with MLB, NBA, and NHL to transfer the rights to the teams, allowing them to stream the games in market or find new partners to replace the AT&T Sportnets. Currently, it looks like only one AT&T Sportsnet may be saved, as the Houston Rockets and Astros have reportedly started talks to buy AT&T Sportsnet Southwest from the company. So that is Root Sports. If you do not know, looks like they are shutting down as well. But just getting back to the situation with Bally and what's going on with Minnesota and Cleveland. In the case of Cleveland, Diamond has a 10-day grace period from that April 1st due date. It's expected that both the Guardians and the Twins will be among several MLB teams that Diamond cuts ties with. In fact, unnamed Cleveland.com sources close to the situation said a payment from Diamond to the Guardians is unlikely. The site reports that the team has a deal with the Diamond Group through the 2027 season, paying the club around $50 million per year. The MLB has said it will step in and help clubs if Bally loses the rights to the games. Last month, Diamond similarly failed to pay the Diamondbacks. At the time, the Guardians, Reds, and Padres were listed as the other MLB teams in which Diamond was losing significant money. However, the Padres reportedly received their check. It's unclear what the Reds' state of play is in regards to Bally Sports. So this is a complete and total mess. Now, if Bally Sports stops airing games, what we're going to see, I would guess, is the MLB network takeover and probably air the games with the same broadcasters and everything like that you saw on the Bally networks. It's just going to have their own scoreboard, and it's going to be kind of like an MLB network type product. Of course, when we compare the scoreboards, the Bally Sports one, still horrible. I mean, they did absolutely nothing to improve it. Everyone's been saying for 2 years now, there is no reason to have an out-of-town scoreboard on the screen 24/7. It is a horrible design. They have not listened. They have not changed it at all. This is why Bally Sports is going bankrupt. I know everyone says these regional networks are useless now with all the streaming, and I agree to a certain level, but it's also that, Bally Sports is just a horrible product in general. So if your team does switch from Bally to the MLB network, you can take a look at their graphics package, their scoreboard. I would say it's a significant upgrade. Now, I do have my own issues with the MLB Network scoreboard overall, but it is way better than something that takes up the entire bottom screen 24/7. The scoreboard that MLB Network has is in the top left, and I'm guessing they would carry that graphics package over in the event that Bally Sports loses the rights to these games as it continues to miss payments. Of course, bankruptcy, it does tend to take a while. It gets dragged out. This is all legal stuff. But as they continue to miss more and more payments, we could see some teams make the switch and have to go to MLB Network. Of course, if your team is, with Bally Sports, if Bally Sports has the rights to their games right now, there's no fair. MLB will step in, and if they have to, they will just take over. And again, I'm guessing this is the graphics package that they would use when it comes to airing the games with the same announcers. They're not going to get new announcers. They would just carry them over. The Guardians are one of two teams in recent days, the Minnesota Twins being the other, who did not receive rights payments from Diamond Sports, according to the Sports Business Journal. Not making a payment in the reported $50 million per year deal triggers a 15-day grace period where Bally could still make the payment. Guardians broadcasts reportedly do not cover the cost of their rights fees, which potentially leaves them and the fans in the cold. That's probably unlikely to happen, however, as Manfred has promised the league would step in and ensure the fans had access to games. And then in another article, it talks about how Diamond actually did pay 8 teams last week. San Diego, the Angels, Braves, Brewers, Cardinals, Marlins, Rays, Royals, and Tigers were all paid as expected. 5 of those teams sold their streaming rights to Diamond in their new rights deal, and their games can be streamed on Bally Sports Plus. The Angels, Braves, and Cardinals did not sell their rights. If the Guardians and Twins aren't paid by the end of their grace period, the MLB is expected to almost immediately attempt to reclaim the two teams' rights with an eye on producing and distributing the games on their own. And so that is the big thing there. Again, it's probably going to be done through MLB Network, but I just wanted to give everyone an update on that situation with Bally Sports. The two teams right now, if you're in the Cleveland area, Minneapolis area, you could be looking at a switch here to an MLB Network type event rather than Bally Sports, because they missed the payment on those two teams while they paid everyone else, the Guardians and the Twins. If they are not paid within the grace period, within the coming weeks, the MLB possibly could try and reclaim them, and then they would own the rights to the Guardians and Twins and be able to produce the games. And then I found this article from ESPN that was written a few weeks ago asking the question, if the MLB needs to take over the broadcast, how would it work? It says some of the details are still uncertain. Some have questioned whether MLB has the capability to take over broadcasting duties if it comes to that, but the MLB appears confident it can pull it off. The details are still a bit hazy, but the league recently started a local media division fronted by Bill Chambers, Sinclair's former chief financial officer. The short-term plan would be to offer streaming through its MLB TV app at a yet-to-be-determined price. It'll be cheaper than the current price to stream out-of-market games, according to a league source, and also air on a yet-to-be-determined cable channel, which is really the key thing there, because right now there's a lot of people that only stream games. And listen, I hear ya. It's very hard with cable, especially for young people. You got to stream everything. That's one of the big issues with Bally. MLB would have to negotiate deals with cable companies to make the latter happen. That would take time, but a league source downplayed that factor, pointing to how long Diamond's financial unraveling has been anticipated. Putting together games also requires a lot of employees, producers, camera operators, broadcasters, etc. MLB, a league source said, might turn to a lot of people who worked in those jobs for Bally Sports in their respective markets. Obviously, they would just take the broadcasters from who broadcast for Bally and move them over. So what happens next? How long until we know where the 4 teams will end up? Those are the 4 teams being the teams all that have rights with Bally Sports. It says a lot could happen really fast between now and April 30th. 13 of the 14 teams under the Bally Sports umbrella are owed their rights fees, an industry source said, potentially forcing a lot of quick decisions. And they've already made their first decision. They have decided not to pay both the Guardians and the Twins. In order to remain in business, Diamond needs to maintain agreements with at least some of its teams. And in order to maintain those agreements, they need to, pay them. And they did pay 8 teams as reported in this period. A breach in the contract triggers a court hearing, and that process can take anywhere from a few days to a few months. While that is all playing out, Diamond would be incentivized to continue airing games because it would be generating subscription revenue without having to pay rights fees. So this is just a bunch of legal stuff. They're going to try and drag it out as long as possible to get as much money as they possibly can while not even paying some of these teams like the Guardians and the Twins. Unbelievable. But there's a good chance that Diamond's creators eventually decide to drop some of the least profitable teams from their portfolio, which they've already done. In that case, MLB would need to step in. A league source anticipates that the MLB will handle broadcasting for at least 5 teams in the very near future. And the Diamondbacks were a team that they recently missed payments on. So if I had to predict who would be the first teams to leave the Bally Sports umbrella, Guardians, Reds, Diamondbacks, and the Twins. Those are my predictions right now on the first teams that the MLB would take over the rights to. So guys, this is a crazy, situation. We'll have to see what ends up happening, but it does look like Bally Sports is incentivized to drag this out as long as possible while they continue to air the games, even though they're missing the payments because they still get money by airing the games through ad revenue, things like that. So that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.